terrace. I think another, but it's nice theory.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Yeah, Jaron was trying to.
Lincoln.
Jaron was. Oh, there he is. Jaron was working on him too. Yeah.
Waste of time.
Yeah.
Waste
some
of time.
people you
I didn't even know
can't-
language.
If I had a gun, I'd just boom.
I
Put that
said,
in
do
misery.
you speak Dutch? He said English better. Okay, I said,
He doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
He goes, nice story.
English better.
You can do it. He didn't like it. But he refused to do it.
Oh, you wouldn't take anything?
I'm saying my goodbyes, mate, so take it easy.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Are we calling it quits? You leaving?
Yeah. Well,
To the cabin?
do you have questions?
No.
You have information?
Sorry? I don't believe in the flat earth, but I know about
Well, it's not a belief. It's what we can measure.
I know about 5G. Well, I know someone who's a sub-hunter in the British intelligence for 30 years, and he said he knows for sure about that.
Well, he hasn't taken the time to measure it.
Sorry?
He said, I don't think he's taken the
I
time
think
to
it's a
measure it.
scam. I think the flat earth thing is just a distraction.
A distraction from what?
It's like this Greta Thunberg. This is all nonsense.
Well,
But 5G is real.
if it's nonsense,
Sorry?
if it's nonsense, if do you know how big the globe
Global
is?
warming is nonsense. It's a Rothschild scam.
Oh yeah, definitely the global warming, definitely.
This guy here was an alchemist. He wasn't a scientist.
We know. But you can think the Earth is flat Earth is a joke, but the fact of the matter is, if the curvature of the Earth dictates that there's like, let's say for example, we'll go a short distance, 10 miles. Okay. At 10 miles, according to the globe size, there should be between me and somebody 10 miles away, there should be a 66-foot hump of water.
Look, I've sat
So
at
if I hold on, let me
I've
finish.
sat at the coast and I've seen ships go away and I've seen them go down.
Yeah.
Looking
But what
through a telescope as they're going along the Earth's curve. They're not going straight away.
But when you
and
do
down.
that, yeah, they go into the vanishing point is what is happening. There's a thing called perspective. It takes a little bit of understanding.
I don't believe the world is flat.
No,
I
it's
think
not about
believe that
belief.
reality is as we are being told, but
Yeah.
definitely
Well,
believe the world is flat.
let me put it to you this way: if I can, like I said, with that 66-foot hump of water at 10 miles distance, if I can stand on the shore on one side of a body of water, put my camera literally like that on the beach, okay, and I have a friend 10 miles away with a mirror trying to reflect the sunlight in my direction, and I can see the reflection of the mirror, which is also down on the floor. Well, where's the curve? Where's the hump of water? And we do the same test at 50 miles, 100 miles.
Has that been done? I don't know.
Absolutely, it's been done. That's why we're here. They're lying. There is no curvature. Zero, zilch, absolutely none. But of course, I'm just a guy on the street talking, so you know, I don't expect you to believe me. I don't expect you to
I know
accept
that we
it.
are being scammed right, left, and centre about the nature of reality. I know that.
Yeah, we are.
Sure.
To the point where we think, to the point that we think we're on a spinning ball flying through absolute
This guy,
nothing.
this flat Earth thing started, I think, with a guy called Eric Dubay. He started talking about the Earth being flat.
Yeah. Have you seen 200 proofs?
Sorry?
200 proofs? 200 proofs that the Earth is not a globe?
Well, I mean, look, there seems to be proof that the Earth is flat as much as there is proof that it's round.
Well, that's the thing. When you look at the proof that they offer about it being round,
Who are they?
well, exactly. Who are they? The people that are putting all the
Well, it's the
information
banking
into our
cartel.
education system.
It's the Rothschilds.
Yeah. We know where it goes to. It actually does go beyond
It's all
that.
these
but
people behind Jeffrey Epstein, in fact.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I've got
Yeah. Have a nice day. It's flat, man. It is.
On the same height. 128,000 feet. Science experiment. Yeah? My favourite physicist. This is what science tells us, yeah? This is what our experiment, our observation tells us. Yeah? My favourite physicist. This is a balloon that went up, a balloon with a camera on it, went up 128,000 feet, 24 miles up.
That's 4 times the height of an average jet.
That's in, how high is it in kilometers?
120.
I don't know, 24 miles up.
Yeah.
24 24 miles, so that's
15 kilometer.
50 kilometers. 50
Right.
kilometers. So,
Okay.
With a rectilinear lens,
Yeah.
and you
Yes,
get.
man. You from?
I'm from the Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
Dag meneer.
So, but in this picture,
Look, can you keep?
what is the
Keep interrupt.
the height?
Dag meneer. Hallo.
Hello.
I've said hello to
Tot
you.
ziens.
I've said hello to you about 3 times now.
Work on the weg. Work on the weg in my life. And welcome to Amsterdam.
Okay, cool.
You Den Helder? Den Haag. Akbar.
I don't think he likes being touched, huh?
So all I'm
Sorry
saying
about
is this is what science tells us. So we go out and we do our own experiments. So we send up our own balloons, yeah. And this is what we see. So what do we believe? We believe what we have experienced, not what science tells us.
Did you did the measurements?
Sorry?
Did you do the measurements?
Well, the balloon, when it goes up, it has an altimeter,
Yeah.
okay? And so the altimeter tells us how high it is.
Okay. So you took a picture. What kind of curve do you expect?
8 inches times mile squared.
Yes.
Yeah.
8 inches times the mile distance squared.
No,
That's
no,
a
you
calculation right there. Spherical geometry.
That's the formula right here.
So this is what we expect to happen. This is what we actually see when we do the experiment. Yeah? They tell us this. They tell us this. We go and look for ourselves. We see that. Who do you believe? Well, this is what we get.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
It's-
it. Well,
Yeah. But it's not about belief. That's the thing. It's not about belief. We believe one thing, but when we test it,
But
it fails.
did you test it the right way?
Well, I don't know about if you
the
said
right
if the right way. Well, what is the right way?
Well,
Well, when NASA sends up, or any of the space agencies, or any of the public,
just put up a balloon there, take
Yeah.
a picture.
yeah, well, that's what the science does, but they
Yeah.
use a fisheye lens. They use the GoPro lens with the curve. So that's what you get is the curve. But when we send the camera up with a rectilinear lens,
Yeah.
a normal lens,
Yeah.
that's what we get. Tested it every which way you can possibly test it. We've done lasers, we've done mirror flashes, we've done. Look, if I can, at 10 miles, okay, according to the miles, there should be 66 feet of hump between me and somebody across a 10-mile lake, okay, a body of water. So if I can take my camera and put it on the ground, okay, like so, okay, and I have a friend 10 miles away at the other side of the lake, and that friend has a mirror, spiegel, okay, and he's down here flashing it. Maybe it's the size of a door, it's a long ways, but if I can see at 10 miles, I see that mirror flash in my camera, where's the curve? There has to be 66 feet at 10 miles. There has to be a 66-foot hump of water between me and him. But we can see. We can see at 20 miles, we can see at 50 miles, 100 miles.
Reflected by the atmosphere and
Yeah, well, we include all of that information
you-
too. We include all of that. Refraction, there's
did you
atmosphere.
use a laser or did you?
Well, actually, a laser, we've seen one laser go across the lake, and as soon as it hit the shore, the atmosphere changed so dramatically, the laser literally shot straight up. Literally.
It's also a station.
Well, but this is a
But
test.
I'm saying is,
We're learning a lot as we go.
are
Huh?
your experiments good enough?
Well, that's for you to decide. Okay? If you had your own camera, and you knew that no matter what you did, put that camera, everything
Did you
was-
calculate?
everything's been calculated. We wouldn't be here talking about this if we haven't done the calculations.
Did you do a calculation or did you
It's
just?
all been done. It's all been done. But you have to look at it. If you don't look into it, you're going to believe what you're told by your government and your education system. That's what you will believe. But if you put it to the test and you ask questions, then all of a sudden you find out that, hey, wait a minute, it's supposed to curve like friggin' crazy, but it doesn't. And it doesn't matter how high we go, there's no curve. But if you go and you see a NASA video, they'll show you at half of that altitude, they'll show you the curve. Then you go out and talk to you talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he'll tell you too. Do you know about the Red Bull jump?
You really believe Neil deGrasse?
I don't believe it. I know it. I can see it for myself.
The earth is flat.
Flat. Flat. The aarde is plat.
Ja? Je gelooft echt...
There's no way to prove. My Netherlands is heel klein beetje.
I can also speak English, but...
That's okay. But the fact of the matter is, we see too far.
You really believe?
No, I know. I don't believe. That's the
Tyson
difference.
thinks the earth is flat.
No, Neil deGrasse Tyson, what he says about the height, okay? The space jump, the Red Bull jump where Felix Baumgartner went to, that's how high up he was. Okay, 128,000 feet. That's how high Felix Baumgartner was. Okay? And they show you the video from Felix Baumgartner outside the capsule, and they show you a big curve. Okay? Well, if you think about that for a minute, that's actually, all of it is land in that curve, and it's New Mexico. So what, the planet New Mexico? It's not. So then you see when he's coming out of the capsule, from inside they show the capsule door open, okay? And right at the eye level of the camera, flat horizon. Now, if you're on a ball, okay, we live on a sphere, okay? When you gain altitude, your horizon should be physically dropping, yeah? It's common sense, it's a sphere. If you are on a ball and you go up, if you have a camera or your eye straight ahead, your horizon line should be dropping as you go up, yeah? It's simple. It's simple physics. It's not a trick question, okay? But the thing is when we do that, the horizon is still at center frame. It doesn't drop, and it's flat.
Well, maybe it dropped. Not that much.
The only difference.
Dropped
Yeah,
just
8 inches times the mile squared. You have to understand 8 inches times the mile squared. If you don't understand how much of this you should see, you don't understand how significant it is what we do see. You understand? We see hundreds of miles. Hundreds of miles. And we see things that should be below miles of curve. We should not be able to see that far, and we do.
Yeah, but
not every day.
I find it hard to believe.
I know, me too. When I first
did
heard
the
about
match,
this, when I first looked at this, I laughed.
Someone else, and you can't convince.
It's not about
scientists.
convincing. No, if you think they're going to come out and say something, they don't get their funding anymore. You understand? That's how the system works. If I discover this, let's pretend I have a PhD. Let's say I'm a physicist and I'm a professor at a university. Okay? I'm not, but let's say that I am. Okay. Now, if I discover that the Earth is flat, okay. Now I've got all these science and all these textbooks telling me otherwise. Okay. How long do you think I'm going to keep my job if I stand my ground and say it's flat and I can prove it? Do you think I'll get funding? Do you think
I'll get a Nobel Prize?
I'll probably get shot. I'll probably get shot.
No, you get a Nobel Prize for
yeah.
If you can prove it.
But you know what? If you can prove the ball, you will also get a Nobel Prize because you cannot prove something that doesn't exist. There is no curvature. That's the point. There's none, zero, zilch. No matter what method you use to measure it, it's not there. And if you understand 8 inches times the mile squared, you understand very quickly that it's a lie. And you can see with your own eyes, the same two eyes that you've been told all your life to distrust. Don't trust your senses. Don't trust what you can see, what you can feel, okay? They tell us we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour while going 66,000 miles an hour around the sun, while the sun is going 500,000 miles an hour corkscrewing through the galaxy, and the galaxy's going around, and you got all this motion in all these different directions at the same time, but you can't feel it. Maybe you're not. You can't feel it. Why is that?
Why is it?
My opinion,
because
it's not spinning.
Newton told us why.
Yeah, Newton.
Yeah.
They told you why. Newton was also a Freemason, and he was also a Jesuit. And these are the people that are lying to you. So, hey, all of NASA, all the astronauts that have ever been to space are all Freemasons, and that's a fact. You can research this yourself. It's a fact. I couldn't make this stuff up. I could not make this up. I'm not that intelligent. Do you have some information to check on your own time? I leave you one of these. You can look on your own time when nobody's looking. Nobody's paying attention and watching what you're looking.
No,
This will get you past. The point of this is to
I've
get,
seen some of that kind of science.
this gets you around the
I'm
censorship.
interested in how people get so, how do you say it? Excited about this. People can so interesting the science.
Interesting in science?
Interesting science.
Untrusting science. Well, science, it's not science that we don't trust, okay? Physics is physics. You know, the second law of thermodynamics is the second law of thermodynamics for a reason. You know,
Relativity theory is
relativity, that's a mindset. That's a mindset, and it's a theory. It's never been proven. You can't, no, listen, if I trip and fall, relativity, okay? If I trip and fall and smash my face on the ground, okay? I can say here that when I trip, the ground came up and hit me. Did the ground come up and hit me, or did I fall down? Either way,
don't
I can
believe
argue it.
the experiments.
What experiments?
What experiments? According to Einstein's theory, light
You see the word you just said? According to Einstein's theory,
light
but that's a
gets
theory.
bended by by Mars.
Yeah, like it's bent by Mars and the gravity
Mars.
and space and time and all that stuff. Yeah. You got any proof?
Okay.
Has Einstein got any proof? Does anybody
Yes.
anywhere got proof?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
What is it?
What is it? What is the proof? Because if you had proof, it wouldn't be a theory anymore. It would be a fact and it would be a law. But it's still a theory, and it's still called a theory, and it's still listed as a theory in the books. So, is it a theory or is it a fact? I think it's a theory because nobody has the facts. You can't prove relativity. You can't prove that gravity bends space and time. And you can read magazines and you
can.
Yeah, how's that?
The solar eclipse.
That
You can
proves- that proves
measure
what?
the distance of the stars.
Yeah, but a solar eclipse, that doesn't prove anything. That proves that. How's this for a solar eclipse? Have you ever heard of a selenelian? A selenelian eclipse.
Yeah.
Okay, what that is, okay? You know how a lunar eclipse works. You have the sun, the earth has to be in the way of the moon to cause a shadow on the moon, yeah? That's a lunar eclipse. Okay. So if I'm standing here and I can see the sun up here in the sky, okay? And I can look over there and I can see the moon up there in the sky, and the moon is full and being eclipsed from the top. You understand? The shadow from the top. But the earth is down here, the moon is up here, and the sun is up here. Well, how is the shadow of the earth casting a shadow on the top of the moon when the moon is above the earth and the sun is also above the earth? Do you understand? No?
No.
Okay, it's called the selenelian. Now, imagine you're looking at the horizon, okay? And you see the moon okay, being eclipsed. It's the beginning of an eclipse. Okay, the shadow starts to creep onto the moon, okay, from the top. Okay, but the sun is up there in the sky. So if the sun is up in the sky here, and the moon is up in the sky there, and the moon is being eclipsed from the top down, but the moon is supposed to be eclipsed from the Earth's shadow, well, how does that work? The funny thing is mainstream science doesn't even have a real explanation for it. It's labeled as the impossible eclipse. Yeah. A lunar eclipse.
In daytime.
Yeah, the sun above the horizon. It would be, let's say, maybe not at noon. The sun's not here. The sun is starting to go down, but it's still well above the horizon. It's not set. You can still see it. Okay.
Yeah.
And the moon the same.
But
The moon is on the other side, above the horizon. Not up, but above the horizon. Well, no, not just a little, quite a bit, about 15 degrees or so, at least. You can see the videos for yourselves. They're all over the place. But if you're not looking for it, you're not willing to look at the information that's being presented, then you're never going to know any different than what you've read or see on TV or anything like that. You got to think outside the box a little bit. How is it possible the geometry doesn't work?
No,
not at all. If you have a ball being eclipsed, that's supposed to be from the shadow of the ball you're standing on, that's supposed to be casting the shadow from the sun that's on the other side, but it's also above. Yeah, I know.
Well,
it does not
it's
compute.
to calculate it.
You think so? How come in the science magazines they'll say that it's the impossible eclipse? Science is baffled.
Okay,
Science is
it's-
baffled.
It's an impossible eclipse.
So how is it
It
possible?
can't happen.
Yeah, apparently it can't happen, but it does.
Why do you say it happened?
Because we've recorded it. We have video proof that it happens. People have seen it. It's been witnessed. It's been documented. It's in science magazines that it happens. They don't have an explanation for it,
Maybe
but it's there. They'll tell you it happens.
Falsified information.
Right? Science. You
Do you
think?
believe that?
You think maybe? Lots of information is falsified.
Yeah.
No question. Oh
Okay.
yeah. There's
Yeah, that's one of the arguments you say.
Yeah.
that,
Well, you know what? BBC, or was it National Geographic? There's one of
so
them.
you don't think it's hard to believe that Earth is round as the Earth is flat? Do you believe the
no.
Earth is flat?
No, I know the Earth is flat, and I
You
know,
know-
and I know
you know
that, and
the
I know
Earth
that
is
what
flat.
they're telling us is a lie.
You know the Earth is flat.
Yeah, how far it goes, how big it is, exactly the layout. I don't know that. I don't know everything, but I know that when I take my camera and I put it on the ground, I can see it doing a mirror flash at 20 miles away. And they're supposed at 20 miles, they're supposed to be 160 feet or something of curvature. That's a lot. That's a 10-story building. So if I'm standing on the other side of that building over there, let's shorten it up even. If I'm standing on the other side of that building with a mirror flashing the sun at you over here recording it, are you going to be able to see me? No. I know. It's a lot to take in. I know it is, man. It's a lot to take in. So listen, I'm not going to convince you. That's not what I'm here. I'm not here to convince you. But I'm here to say there's so many things that are in question.
No.
And so many, you won't
Yeah,
look. You have to look.
You question so many things.
Yeah, but they don't have the answers. They don't have the answers for where's
They do have the
where's the
answers.
curvature? Where's the curvature? They don't have the answer. They'll say refraction, but we calculate that. Refraction is so minimal, it's ridiculous. It's minimal. Refraction does not bring the sun from the other side of the earth all the way up so it can cast a shadow. No. You have to understand how refraction works. So you have to look into refraction. You have to look into the vanishing point, how your eyes work. There's a lot of things that combine and your eyes can be fooled. And the science knows that. So when they teach you something, they teach it a certain way, okay? And you believe that. And when you go and you look, you go, oh yeah, okay. But you don't look beyond it. When you go now and you get a super zoom camera, this technology wasn't available when they start this live, okay? That's available now. So when you take a camera that can zoom in on an object that's like 100 miles away, and you can see that object, and you calculate the observer's height, the height of the object you're observing, you take into consideration the atmosphere in between, the refraction variables that happen due to the atmosphere and temperature gradients and all that. We calculate all that into our observations. We take it into consideration. And it's so minimal, it's ridiculous, but it doesn't matter.
And the height of the ground,
What do you mean?
is there
This is why we do it over water. This is
you
why
do
we
it
do
over
it over
water?
water.
Okay, yeah.
We come into another problem over water because of the humidity levels. So when you're looking long distances and you have a very warm, moist air coming up from the water, it causes distortions. Okay, which is the reason why you think the ship disappears over the horizon when it doesn't. It disappears bottom first, yeah, but it does that because that's the miraging effect of what happens when you go beyond that vanishing point. There are reasons that you haven't learned. They don't teach this to you because if they do, if you put two and two together, you understand it's a lie. There's zero curvature, absolutely zero. And that's what makes it, that's what you got to focus on first. The rest of the lies, they come into play. And you'll understand them when you first understand that they're lying
navigation.
about navigation. What about it? What about it? Do you think we navigate this way? We navigate east-west. We navigate circumnavigation. Okay. Now
and north-south?
North-south. Go find somebody. Go find somebody who's actually gone north-south all the way around. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened.
But a lot of people navigated.
They navigate the world. But they used to, before technology, they navigated with Polaris, the North Star. Yeah. So if you know North Star to your right, you're heading east. Okay. So if you keep heading east, you have to keep. Yeah.
You can't.
Sorry, west. My mistake.
No,
My mistake. I'm backwards. I'm backwards. If Polaris. If you're looking at, say, Polaris is there, and you want to travel west,
you can
travel this way,
calculate the position on Earth by using these stars.
Yeah, you can calculate where you are and where you're going by the stars. But if Polaris is always the North Star, always the fixed star, which is used for navigation centuries before compasses and so on. Okay, so if I go, like I said, I keep the Polaris to my right, I'm heading west. If I turn around, I put Polaris to my east or to my left, I'm heading east. Right. So if I continue to head this direction, keeping Polaris, eventually I have to make an adjustment. Right? Because Polaris will know, so I got to turn to keep it to here.
Yeah.
So that, next thing you know, I'm back where I started.
You can calculate where you are on the Earth,
Yeah.
how far to the north you are, by calculating the angle with Polaris.
Yeah. They used to use what's called the sextant.
Sextant.
Yeah. Which was created when they thought the Earth was flat. Then there's the astrolabe.
Yes.
Yeah. Then there's the astrolabe, which charts the stars. Okay. An astrolabe is it's a device. It's kind of weird how it works. I don't know how it works specifically, but they've been using it for centuries and centuries. For as long as we know, they've been around an astrolabe, and an astrolabe tracks the stars. And the astrolabes that were made decades, like centuries ago, still work today. Now, here's what they tell us about the whole globe model we live on. We're rotating, on a tilt, right? 23.4 degrees, rotating at 1,000 or so miles an hour, while we're going 66,000 miles an hour around the sun, while that sun is shooting 500,000 miles an hour through the galaxy, while our galaxy is going around the galactic center. You understand? So if all of these motions are going on day after day, year after year, century after century, millennium after millennium, how come the stars are still in the same place? How come we can still navigate with the same stars in the same place today as we could?
Because of the distance.
Yeah? Because it's billions and trillions of miles away?
Light years away.
You think so? Light years?
Trillions of miles, light years away.
You can believe that if you like, but here's the thing.
Oh, you don't believe that?
No. Here's the thing. Okay, we've also done some math and science on our sun. Let's say, for example, Jaron, wherever he is, he's the good one on this. Have you heard of the inverse square law?
The
Inverse square law. If
square.
something goes twice as far, it gets 4 times smaller. Okay. You double the distance. Okay. The size becomes 4 times smaller. That's a physics law. That's for real. It's called the inverse. It's called the inverse square law. But this is information you don't. I didn't know this shit either. I had no idea. I didn't. I'm learning this stuff as I go. But you can learn about this.
Think about it, and I'm intelligent enough to.
You are a smart guy. I think you can figure it out. It's called the inverse square law. Okay, so if our sun is this big, the size of a dime in the sky now, okay, at 93 million miles. So if we go another 93 million miles, double it, okay, now you're 4 times smaller.
Yeah.
Okay. See what's happening here? Now we double it again. So now we're not even a light hour yet. Okay, and now it's 8 times smaller than what it started with. Okay, now our sun is an average sun, yeah. So now let's go another. Let's make it a light hour. We'll triple the distance. So now we've just shrunk the thing down to a tiny little dot. Yeah. So how many more times do we have to? How many light years do we have to go before we don't see it? Okay. But they tell us Polaris is how many trillions of miles or light years away, and we can still see it, and it's always in the same position, day after day, year after year, millennia after millennia. When we're spinning on an angle, going around the sun that's shooting through the universe, how does anything come back to the same place once a year? Anything. And how does one star stay in the same position all this time? Yeah. You've been told to believe something, and because it comes,
change.
no, they don't. How come they're always in the same place every year? They change a little bit. They change their position.
No,
they change their position slightly every year. Okay? The sun moves faster than the moon moves faster than the stars. So as things go daily, they're all moving at the same time.
There are records of old.
Who made the records? Who made the records?
1,000 years ago.
Who made the records?
Some people made records.
Who's those people? You met them?
I don't know. No.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
So you believe.
I believe.
Who believes and who knows?
Okay.
I don't believe any of it, but I know what I know because I'm putting it to the test. I'm testing first and foremost for the curve. And the reason I'm testing first and foremost for the curve, because if it's a ball, it has to curve. How big is the ball? They don't teach you in school, but when you find out that it's only 24,901 miles around, and then you understand the formula for the curvature for that size,
You can look it up.
and then you observe, yeah, you can look it up. They won't teach it to you in school. You have to look it up.
But
by the
why
time
should
you-
they
But why don't
teach
they?
that in school?
Well, why shouldn't they? They tell you it's a ball. They don't tell you how big it is. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? And why do they teach it when you're this big and you don't know enough to ask questions? Why don't they wait till you're a teenager when you have cognitive thought and then teach you the finer details of what you live on? Teach you then the curve, teach you then the size, teach you then how much curvature there is. Why don't they teach that? Because then you have to test it. And if you test it,
What is the use?
that's what you get.
What is the use of teaching that kind of
Why not?
specific?
They take the time.
information?
They take the time to teach you you're on a ball, and with gravity, what difference
Yeah.
does it make anyways? If all you're doing is being here
It's
and
enough
going,
to know
what does it
for-
matter? What does it matter if it's flat or if it's? Why do they have to teach you it's a ball? And why do they teach you when you're too young to question it? That's a problem, and that's why you believe what you believe,
Yeah.
and I believed what I believed all my life.
Yeah,
But now
normal people
now-
don't need more information than you living on a pole.
Yeah, but what's normal?
Or normal,
Yeah.
I mean.
So if you
the
think you
average
live
people.
on, well, here's the thing. Okay, here's the
Okay.
bigger picture. Okay.
If you want more
everybody-
information, you can
No,
go.
yeah, but if everybody thinks that we live on a spinning space ball, we're told by science that we're insignificant, we mean nothing, we came from an accident, we're going nowhere, and nothing means anything, right? That's the mindset of the heliocentric model, yeah? Look at the state of the world. People don't give a shit. It's all about me, 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 me. Your brother put a knife in your back if you thought he could get away with it to take your bank account. This is the world we live in because people believe there is no consequence to what we do. So people are fucking crazy. Now, if the whole world understood, what we live on, right? If you know it's flat, because that's what you're taught in school, you're shown how to prove it, okay? And, and everybody knows the Earth is flat. And somebody tries to tell you it's round. Are you gonna believe it? And now, if it's flat, that changes a lot of stuff.
What does it change?
Well, because now it's not a Big Bang explosion. We came from slime to monkeys to the zoo to you. Evolution, everything, all of that crap goes out the window with the Big Bang. If it's bullshit, the Big Bang involves a ball. Well, if there's no curvature to that ball, well, everything starts to fall apart. So when you start to look into what is the claims and you start putting it to the test, it falls apart. This is the point we're trying to make. Make you think for yourself. Don't believe what you're told. Put it to the test. So the first test is the curvature because it's real. We can see it. We can measure it. This is what we can do now. Technology has caught up to the lie. Here we are. So now, when we send balloons up, like Dave Murphy was telling you, to 128,000 feet, which is 4 times the height of the average airliner, and we use a rectilinear lens, a normal lens. Well, it's
But is
flat.
it high enough? Then
Well, that's the question, right? But we're taught, first years ago, we're taught we see curvature from an airplane. But you're looking through a convex window. So, and you have a belief. So you might see a little bit of curvature at the edges and go, You might not even think about it, like most people, right? Don't even think about it. But when you test it, that's the problem. We've tested it. We're testing it every day. There's probably guys out there right now who've got balloons up there, and we'll see the videos in another couple days. This happens day in, day out. People are, and because we know we're being lied, that's the problem.
is it scientific?
Of course. Well, you know what? That's where you have to be a judge for yourself. What is science? Is science a guy who has a notebook and a pad and a badge that says PhD?
No, I don't
or
know.
Is a scientist a guy who can say, okay?
No, is it
I think-
scientific? I said. It's not. Is it done by scientists?
Of course,
Is it
it's
scientific?
Of course, it's scientific. That's the whole point.
Yes.
Okay? We're making a claim
Okay.
against the claim. Okay.
Yeah.
The claim is we live on a ball.
Do you have a
there's
scientific
no evidence
proof?
of it. Yes. Yes. This is the point.
But
But you
yes.
don't know until you look at what.
No, I'm
gotta
not
go through-
convinced you have to prove.
Well, then how you know unless you look? That's the point. You can argue. You can say, "Oh no, you don't." You can believe I don't know anything, and you can believe your book, and you can walk away from this conversation believing that. But you keep questioning me, so I'm going to tell you what I know.
Yes.
And
But
now you're
the
questioning:
problem
is it
is-
scientific? Well, how's this?
Now the
If-
problem
if
is, I think it's
send-
very difficult to believe
yeah,
the science community.
yeah. But
is worse.
Who pays that
than-
science community? Who funds them? Who funds them? You gotta look a little further than what's in front of your
not-
face.
yes.
Because who pays those scientists to
It
write
doesn't
that
matter.
article? Yeah, it does. Because if the same people that are lying to you are paying the people that are doing these tests, and then they write an article that says it's a ball, and then they give you a picture with a fisheye lens and say, look, it's a ball, and you believe it. But if I go out with my own camera, my own time, my own money, my own balloon, I go up to the same height using my own camera that doesn't have that fisheye curved barrel distortion bullshit on it, and I send my balloon up, and the images I get back from that balloon at the same altitude shows me that it's flat. Who am I going to believe? Am I going to believe my own experiment? Okay, I don't have a PhD, but I'm doing a scientific experiment using equipment, using measuring methods, using electronics devices to measure the heights, the distances. Is that not scientific? What instruments is the guy in the lab coat going to use and then tell you it's a ball? Is he scientific? Is he going to use a level to level his laser to make sure it's parallel with the ground? Is he going to give you use a fisheye lens when he sends his balloon up? And then he's going to tell you the Earth is a curve, just like they do the students. There's articles. Students find the curvature of the Earth. Well, they send the balloon up and they take a picture and you see the curve, but they use a fisheye lens. You know how I know that? Because the rope that's hanging in the picture with it up there also has a curve in it. So it's not a rectilinear lens. They're telling you they see the curvature of the Earth, but it's the camera effect that's giving it to you. So when you use a normal lens...
But you know, giving me proof that scientific doesn't work because you...
I can't give you proof. I can offer you. I can tell you where to find it. I can tell you go buy your own balloon setup and your own camera with a rectilinear lens and send it up yourself and analyze the results. That you can do. But I can't convince you that any of this is real any more than I can convince you that the ball is real. I can't prove, and I'm not going to convince you. This takes your own research. You got to look at it yourself. You know, so you have to.
Is it possible for you to
what?
To do it to find the proof?
We've done it. What 128,000 feet, and it's flat. We've done laser tests. It's flat. We've done mirror flash tests at ground level. It's flat. There's no curvature. It has to be there, and it has to be over water. You can argue. You can argue about land because there's valleys and hills and so on. So there's an argument there. But over water, well, the Earth is 70-something% water. It has to be bending all over the place. How can you bend water? Make water bend. See how you do that. What's the physics of water? Water, still water will always lie level. Yeah. Okay. So and water has to be contained. If it's not contained, it will continuously flow. But it will always seek its lowest point, and once it's there, it will always be flat on top. Now that's true in a glass of water. That's true. This is physics. That's true in a glass of water. It's true in a bathtub, a swimming pool, a lake, an ocean. It's flat. There's no curve. Yeah, you can believe there's a curve because you were told. You were told the ball curves.
It also depends on the mass behind the water.
I'm sorry.
It also depends on the mass behind the water.
Water.
The level of the water is not.
What you saying? You talking about tides and stuff?
There are tides.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I have never seen, and I have never seen an experiment, nor do I know of a scientist with all the credentials and the letters that can make water bend. Water has its own that's why we use it for a level. It's flat on top. Water is flat on top. If you can take if I had a long tube, and I filled it halfway with water.
If you have a very small tube,
then
you see it's curved.
Yeah, but that becomes surface tension.
Yeah.
That's not curvature. That's surface tension.
Curved.
That's surface tension.
Yeah.
Now make that body of water. Make that little tube that you had.
Yeah.
Make it a bigger tube.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now make that water bend. You can't. There's no physicist in the world that can do this. Okay.
But you can do it for a small tube.
But
it's
not.
Yeah,
I can put a drop. I can put a drop of water on a leaf and it'll stay in a bubble. Yeah. but that's surface tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens
So
when you
what?
poke a little pin into that surface tension? The water will drop and fall and try and find its lowest point, and when it gets there, it'll be flat on top. So the physics of water disproves the globe. The physics of water. You find a way to bend water. You find a way to get around. You find a way to get around what they teach you in school about water and the physics involved in it, and then you can see. Then maybe it's evolved. Okay. Here's one for you. The second law of thermodynamics. It's a law of thermodynamics. Okay. You understand pressure systems?
Yeah.
Okay. If I have a can, let's say, I have just a can, and I have a wall inside that can, okay? And from one side of that can, I suck all the air out and put it into the other side. So now what I've done, I've created a very high pressure system on one side and a very low pressure system on the other, right? So what happens when I take that barrier out?
The pressure will equalize.
Right, it'll equalize. The high pressure will rush to the low pressure and equalize everything, right? Okay. This is a law of thermodynamics. Right? It's a law for a reason because there's no way around it, right? There's no way around it. It's the second law of thermodynamics. You cannot have a high pressure system and a low pressure system next to each other directly without a physical barrier. It's a law. There's no way around it. Physicists can't get around. That's why it's a law. Okay? Unlike a theory. Okay? It's a law. So if that's the case, and we are in a pressurized system, okay, directly next to an infinite vacuum, how's that work? There's no physics experiment that can demonstrate it. That's why it's called the second law of thermodynamics. To believe that you can have an atmosphere, pressurized atmosphere, directly next to a vacuum of space, an infinite vacuum, without a physical barrier, there is no science to prove that. Gravity? How does gravity work? Gravity is not going to affect that. And gravity, you need a ball to have gravity. While gravity, there is a
Yeah, you don't believe
this is a circular argument now. There is no ball. That's the point. There is no ball. There's so many ways to disprove the globe. It's ridiculous. It really is. And I know it's a joke to you.
Do you believe the moon is a ball?
I don't know. I know it's circular. I know that. But is it a sphere? I don't know. It could be concave. You're optically, your eyes cannot tell the difference. It could be concave, it could be spherical, it could be flat. And you could take all three of those images, put them side by side. Your eyes cannot tell the difference. That's a fact. Unless you have another object around it to give it, unless there's something around it to give it a perception of depth, you can't tell the difference. You can try all kinds.
You have a sun that shines on
the Earth. Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. You think so? I don't think so.
Oh. You don't think so?
No. You know how a full moon works, yeah?
Yeah.
It's the same type of thing as the eclipse. You got the sun, earth, moon, right?
Yeah.
Sun's over there, moon's over there. Yeah. So if I'm on the ball, and if I look up and I see the sun up here, okay, and I look over here and I see the moon up there almost full, well, it's supposed to be on the dark side of the earth. The only people who should be able to see it, the only people who should be able to see it are on the dark side of the earth. So if you're seeing a full moon, you should only be able to see it at night.
You see maybe on the.
If you're on the Terminator, you might see the sun on the horizon. Literally,
might see a shade.
You might, but you can see the sun up here on not every full moon, but quite often. You see the sun well above the horizon, and you see the moon well above the horizon. It's a full moon. Well, you shouldn't be able to see that unless you're on the dark side of the planet. Yeah. You have to do some you got to think about what they're teaching you, and you got to compare it to observation.
Yeah. But you have to be careful by your observations. You must also do the math behind it.
It's all done. It's all been done. But you don't think so. No, I know you don't. But we're here to tell you that it's been done. Now you can say no, I don't believe it, and walk away, and this conversation's over. Yeah. Or you can say, okay, what have you done? And then I can say, well, how about you take this information and you go to the site there, which will get you around all the censorship that's going on around this subject. Yeah. And you can't find any good information on this information now on YouTube or social media or any of it. It's being censored, flat out censored. They told everybody on YouTube. I got a notification on my YouTube channel. So did everybody else here. It's public knowledge. They're censoring flat Earth. It's top of the list. 9/11, false flag events, homeopathic medicine, and there's another one too. I can't remember. But this is all being censored. This is all being censored. So if flat Earth is so ridiculous and so easy to disprove and so laughable, why the fuck are they censoring it? Why don't they want you to find the information? What's it to confuse? It shouldn't confuse anybody. It shouldn't confuse anybody. If you're so sure you're living on a ball and you have so much proof of it, why don't you come forward with that proof in a public forum with all these flat earthers and say, listen, NASA says, listen, flat earthers, this is how it is and this is why, and prove it to us. But they won't. They won't. They put it in your textbooks. They teach it to you in school. No, they haven't done it. That's the thing. You believe they have. They give you pictures of the core of the Earth in school. You know, they open up and you see the molten core, and they give you all these layers of the Earth. And the only hole dug, the deepest hole ever dug, is 8 miles. How the fuck do they know what's 3,000 miles in the middle of the Earth if we've only dug 8 miles?
By doing measurements.
With what? What ground penetrating instruments do we have that can go 3,000 miles to the core of the Earth?
Waves.
Oh, we do? You better research that a little bit. You better research that a little bit. Everything becomes questionable. Everything becomes questionable, and that's the problem. If science is so sure about what we live on, why don't they step up, put us down once and for all, put us down once and for all scientifically? Why not? They won't. You know what they do? They make fun of it on TV. They show you a disc flying through space, and is that science? And these are scientists that are doing that. Is that science? No, that's not science. Science is sitting down with the people that are making the claims and saying, you're wrong, and this is why. And we will show you why you're wrong. And if they would do that, every one of these people here, if they could do that, okay, and prove to us without question that we live on a spinning space ball, and don't take the pictures from space because they've all been photoshopped. They admit that. Okay? They admit it. Okay? So show us the proof. Make us non-flat earthers. Show me why I should believe it's ball when everything tells me it's not. My own observations tell me it's not. I can see too far. I see your head is hurting.
Yes.
I totally get it. I totally understand. It's a tough subject to deal with.
The problem is,
I know. It's called cognitive dissonance. Okay. What I'm doing right now, that feeling you get, I'm making you uncomfortable. I know that.
No.
I think to some degree I am. I'm challenging your beliefs. Okay?
No.
No? And why are you asking me questions?
Because I want to know why you are doing this.
Okay. I'm doing this because I know the Earth is flat and everybody's being lied to.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why I'm doing this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to offer this to you one more time. I'm going to offer this to you one more time, the information. Okay. Yeah. You can go around me. You can go around the censorship. You can go directly to the experiments that are being done. Okay. You're not going to get to that information if you look for it on the mainstream, because they want you to believe it's a ball. So they're not going to tell you what we know. They're going to make fun of it. Okay.
Yeah,
and if what we know is so easily disproved, please step up. Please, NASA, scientists, please, physicists, whoever. The challenge has been publicly made by us. We want to be debunked. We want to be proven wrong. We want physicists to come to the table and scientists to come to the table, NASA to come to the table and show us why we're wrong. But they don't. They can't. They won't. They'll just send their spokespeople out and put up a video on National Geographic making fun of flat Earth. But they can't prove they're fucking bald. All they can do is laugh. And all we've known for 2,500 years, and we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
this conversation is going to keep going in circles at this point.
Because
you believe what you're told.
If you believe that it's now, then you will also believe that everything that's there out there's a lot out there.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's all false.
Unless it's actual physics, real science, we're not denying real science. Physics is physics. The law of thermodynamics is the law of thermodynamics for a reason. Okay? We don't deny this. Okay? Not at all. But we are saying that these laws of thermodynamics, the laws of water, the physics involved with water, disprove the ball.
No.
What we see, yeah, it does. Because there's no way to bend water. Water does not convex.
Well, it is bent.
No, you think it is because you're told.
Because,
Because
okay.
NASA said you're on a ball and they gave you a picture, right?
But you say it is.
I
But,
say it's not.
You say it's flat.
But I can,
I
I,
don't-
can, I can provide actual, physical, testable, repeatable,
I
verifiable.
don't believe it.
Send your own balloon up. Send your
It's
own
not
balloon
enough.
up. No, but it's a start, isn't it?
No.
And then when it's not, well,
It's
then
not a
this, then
start.
this conversation's over because you're talking
Yeah.
in circles. with
Yeah,
something.
that's the problem.
Yeah, you're talking in circles. I'm,
No, the
I'm trying
problem
to
is-
give you. I'm trying to give you the facts as we have discovered via our own experimentation.
Yeah, but
okay?
I doubt your
you're saying,
experiments.
and you're saying that my experiments are shit. So
Yeah.
this conversation's over then, because
Yeah.
you're not willing to look at the experiments that other people, even though it's other people that have done the experiments that you believe in,
Yeah.
people you've never met thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
It's all in your textbooks, and you believe it without knowing or testing any of it. And you're going to argue with me that my experiments are wrong when I've gone out and done them myself with my own, well, not physically, but these fellas have, and I back up what they've done because I see what they do. I watch these guys organize. I watch the laser tests. I watch the tests over water. I watch all this stuff. I see how they do it, what they do, how they do it. I see the math they do when they include the refraction, the height of the observer, the height of the object being seen. This is all calculated. And the reason why we go so in depth on these calculations is because when we come across guys like you, and especially worse ones with the PhD and the badges and all that on their, you know,
I don't have.
prove it. Prove it. We did. We did it. We did the test. We did the math. We did the calculations. We included the refraction, the refractive index. We included the temperature gradients from point A to point B and multiple points along the way over the distance being measured, especially with lasers. Okay. Because it does bend light. So we need to know what is it doing to that light over that distance. So we'll have boats out there every kilometer over that distance, checking with the instrumentation, giving us the humidity levels, the temperature gradients, and so on over that distance. We'll have a guy on the other shore measuring exactly the same thing, and that's how we discovered that light can bend in ridiculous ways. Because you shoot it, like I said, that laser went across the lake and went poof, straight up.
Okay.
That's because there was such a drastic change from the temperature of the water and then over the land that when the laser got that far, it just went straight up. But in most cases, it bends down. So you got to look at the real science, okay, being done by the people that are applying the real known science, by the people that taught you the science, okay, the physics that you know, we're applying to what we are taught about the ball. And the ball falls apart so fast, it'll make your head spin. So fast that you think it's ridiculous. But you won't even look. You'll sit here and tell me, oh no, I believe my books, I believe my books, I believe my books.
No, that's not only.
But that's what you're doing. I'm offering you new information,
Yeah.
and you're rejecting it. I'm saying we have done tests, and we are continuing to do so. And I'm offering you a link to that information so you can verify for yourself. You can see what they're doing. Go, test it for yourself. See what your results are. Okay? These are smart people. These guys are PhDs. These guys are educated. These are university educated people who have realized that we've been lied to, and they're turning their own science that they thought was real and using it against it. Because when you apply it to what you actually see, the ball falls apart. That's all there is to it. Now, you don't believe me? I get it. You never will unless you look yourself. So, did you take that flyer?
No.
You got to look yourself. Nobody was going to convince me that it was flat. I watched all kinds of videos on the subject. Nobody could convince me it was flat. I had to go and check some of the lies. The Coriolis effect was a big one for me. Okay? I seen a video a guy told me about the way I was taught the Coriolis. Well, I'm not. You know what? I'm not going into that conversation with you.
But
You need to do your
if
own
you see
homework.
the moon,
What about the moon? What about it?
it looks like a sphere.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
It could be.
But you
I'm
don't know.
convinced it's a sphere.
But that's what you're told. That's what you're told. Did you know that moonlight is cold? You think the sun? You think that the sun shining off of the moon is what you see? Okay. So if the sun reflecting off of the moon back to Earth, okay, it should carry along with it some of the same characteristics as the sunlight. Yeah. Meaning that the reflective light will carry a little bit of that warmth with it, You would think, yeah?
Yeah.
So if you're in the sun and it's hot,
Yeah.
you seek shade, yeah? You go to the shade to stay cool, yeah?
Yeah.
So how come every measurement and every test done so far with moonlight, okay, if you take an object, let's say two objects identical, okay, side by side, let them sit unobstructed, okay, and let them sit in the moonlight, let them sit in shade, keep them shadow, let them the temperature equalize between the two, test the temperature of both, and then remove that shade and allow the moonlight to reflect on only one of those objects.
Yeah.
Okay? Wait a few minutes, put your temperature gauge on it, and that temperature has gone down. Moonlight is cold, measurably cold. So you think it's a reflective. I know it sounds crazy. I get it. I know it. I tested it myself. I bought my own little laser temperature surface tester, and sure enough, it's correct. The moonlight is cold. There's other fellows who have actually done the test in much more detailed manner, using much more controlled situations, control factors, checking, double checking, and doing it again and again and again, and they get the same results. So,
Okay, you're starting to convince me more and more that you're
I don't want
talking
to. I
nonsense.
don't want to convince you. I know it sounds like nonsense. I get it. I know it does. But until you go out and look at it yourself and test it yourself, you're just going to believe whatever the hell you're told. So, go read your Aristophanes book about how he made the curvature of the Earth, and you go live your life believing what you want to believe. But I'm not buying it for a second. I see astronauts hanging on wires. I see them I see the satellites being launched with wires hanging off of them. They don't even edit it out sometimes.
Satellite, you don't believe it?
No, it's all horseshit.
Satellite lights.
No, I know there's something up there. And if you go research what satellites are, you find all kinds of information about balloons being launched. They're all hanging on balloons.
Yeah, hanging on balloons. Yeah.
They're on there. They're up there. There's things moving around up there, no question. But they're not doing this around a ball like we're being told. They're going around here up there, and they're on balloons. You can see them.
Yeah.
You can see them transit the moon. You can see them launch them. Shit, there was one, they launched the thing, they had it on a big crane, and it's a big friggin' satellite, like bigger than a couple of cars, and they lost control of it. They lost control of it, and the balloon didn't get enough lift, and the thing started crashing and rolling and something smashing cars, people were running all over the place. They're launching a satellite on a balloon.
So, yeah.
And
You
they're
can take pictures of the
getting-
ISS.
yeah, so you take pictures of something up there.
You think that's a balloon?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Personally, I think it's an airplane rigged up with some kind of a holographic thing going on. That's just my opinion. But there's been all kinds of things done with the ISS. Now, the ISS has a live feed, yeah? They tell you it's a live feed? Hold on, they tell you got a live feed, right? So here's what Jared and a bunch of these other boys did, okay? They watched the live feed, okay, from NASA. As it's going over, they're recording it going over, okay? And NASA shows through their live feed at that time all cloud. It's always all cloud or all water, or you see the lights at night sometimes. They have their videos. What the hell was I talking about now? Oh, I get so many thoughts in my head, I lose track sometimes. Oh yeah, NASA. So yeah, I forget where I was going with that now. Shit. I lost my thought. I'm sorry.
ISS.
Oh yeah, the ISS.
NASA did.
Right.
Shows.
So Jaron and Bob from Globebusters, there's a bunch of guys that did this, and so they watched the ISS live feed, okay, and it shows clouds and they're over. Jaron's in California, and he's filming the ISS going above head, and he's showing that they're showing all clouds and everything else, but there's not a cloud in the sky. And then you find out that the live, and this is over and over and over and over. This isn't just a one-time thing. They did this for months. Okay, months. Him and Bob from the Global
Clouds.
Every month, every time that ISS was going over, they filmed it if they could on clear day. And every time it's all crystal clear, and they're filming it going over. You look at the live feed, assuming it's available because they cut it off every 40 minutes or so. You don't get it anymore. But during that 40 minutes, they're either the ISS. It's all cloud. That's all they show is cloud cover. But the weather report says clear skies. They're standing on the ground with clear skies filming the ISS that's supposed to be delivering a live feed to us. But it's not. It's all clouds. Come on. and then you see the astronauts hanging up from wires. Literally hanging from wires. They don't even edit it out. You have two astronauts, they're talking, doing an interview, they all say the same shit, and another one goes floating by behind them. Well, not only does he have this harness on, but he still has the knee harnesses to keep his legs up. And he goes floating by. A couple minutes later, he comes floating by again. They didn't even edit it out. Okay? You gotta look into your space agencies, man. They're faking everything. It's ridiculous. They got CGI glitches going on. You'll have astronauts on there on the ISS doing an interview, okay? And then they have a technical glitch, okay? So the astronaut starts glitching out, but everything around it stays perfect. It's overlap video. It's overlap signals, and one glitch is out.
Are these the images you're talking now about? Did you get them straight from NASA?
Yeah.
Did somebody else
No,
take
from
them?
NASA. I'm glad you asked that, because when I first started looking at this, okay, the first thing, I was laid off from my job here for a while, and I watched everything on Netflix, and I got bored. I went to YouTube, and I'd never been on YouTube before. I was looking for my whole life, never been on YouTube, and I was just looking for like funny videos, animal videos, instant karma. You know, some guy gets knocked out because he deserves it. You know, that sort of stuff. And I kept seeing NASA, and I ignored it for about a week. I ignored it, and I ran out of shit to watch, and I clicked on one. And you see bubbles coming up from the helmets of the astronauts, and then you discover that they do all their testing and practicing underwater, you know, at the neutral buoyancy lab, where they have a complete mock-up of the ISS. And you start seeing spacewalk footage, official spacewalk footage, with bubbles coming at it. Bubbles going here, bubbles going there. It's not like it's a one or two time, no, everywhere. Jackson's been caught with it, the Chinese have been caught with it, the Russians have been caught with the bubbles. It's for us on YouTube, this stuff is a joke. It's a standing joke. Like NASA, they are laughable. Why do you think I wear a shirt that says liars? Yeah. Okay? They are hanging from wires. You can see it yourself. It's so obvious. It's like, if you can't see it for yourself, nah, I'm done. I will never talk to you again. If you can watch all those NASA videos and see the wires, see the satellite launches from the space shuttle with wires on it, as the camera pans up, you see the wire.
Those,
you know,
those pictures are still in NASA sites.
Yeah, I think so. As far as I know, they are. But when I started looking at this, the very first thing I thought when I've seen my first NASA video of them faking it is, okay, these YouTube guys are fucking with these videos and making it look like this so that they can get people to click on their thing. That's what I thought. Okay, that was the first thing that went through my head. So I watched a few more, and I'm like, okay, so now there's 10 guys who are doing the same thing with NASA videos, trying to fuck them up to make them look like, to get clicks, okay? So I thought, okay, enough. I go to NASA. I try to find the video that matches the video, because they send links, they'll give you a link. If you go to a video that uses clips from NASA, okay, they'll send you a link to the original video. So I follow those links back to the NASA site and compare what I see these guys doing compared to, and all they're doing is putting an arrow and editing the arrow into point. So
you're on the NASA site.
Oh yeah,
falsified site.
No, I'm on the NASA site. I'm on NASA.
Site.
No, I'm on NASA. I also subscribe to ASA. I want to know what they're talking about. These guys, everything they put out is so fucking laughable. There's guys picking it apart every day. This is what they do. Yeah. And so if there was nothing phony about it, if there was no trickery going on, and this was all legitimate, up and on the table, we wouldn't find stuff. There would be nothing to find, yeah? No? It's not like it's like one or two instances, no. Almost every fucking thing that NASA puts out has has more than one flaw. You just have to find it. You have to know how they're doing their tricks. And then it becomes obvious. They're not going to put on national television one of the clips with the guys hanging from a wire. These people are lazy. The editing team on NASA is so lazy, it's fucking funny, man. It's so easy to see it. Again, if you don't look, you don't know. If you say, oh, you flat earthers are silly, you're making it all up, I still have your attention, so that's one thing, you know? So, all I can say is look at it yourself. Don't believe what I tell you because I'm just some schmuck you met, okay? I'm some guy talking crazy talk in your mind right now. And I get it, I totally get it.
Yeah, the problem
That's why I said take that flyer. Did you take the flyer? Okay. Take the flyer on your own time, okay? At your own pace. Just look, that's all. Just look. Look at what we are doing. Don't look at what because you already know what they say about the ball. Go beyond that. Put that aside. Keep it in your mind, but put it aside. Go in with an empty mind and just look at what we are doing. Look at what we are presenting and look at the facts that we are talking about. Then sit back and make a comparison. That's all. Then at least you've taken the time to understand what the flat earth claim is. Because obviously it has your attention, or you wouldn't be talking with me for the last half hour.
Yeah.
Okay? So it has your attention. So if it has your attention, take the information we
That's,
offer.
yeah.
I know you're not convinced.
Because,
you're not going to walk away here as a flat earther. That's never going to happen. I don't want that. I would be laughing at you. If you'd walked away here going, yeah, the earth is flat, I'd be laughing at you. What a dummy, he'll believe anything. You know?
Yeah, but
Here, take this as well.
But I also wonder is, do you really believe it? Or do you want people to think?
No, I believe it. 100%. I wear the shirt. I fight with my wife. It's real. This is the real deal, buddy. This is no joke. I don't come out here because I got nothing better to do. I got a beautiful wife sitting at home waiting for me to show up. You think I would be out here?
It's a good thing to make people think.
That's the idea. We want you to think for yourself.
Yeah.
Put the claims, the things that you were taught as a
do
boy.
you really think the earth is flat?
I know it's flat.
You
I know
it's flat.
I know it's flat.
Try to convince me that I have to think for myself. That's what
No.
I'm wondering now.
Think for yourself. That's the key. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
Okay. And the fact that I've intrigued you to the point where you'll talk to me for the last half hour and still be talking to me is proof enough to me that you're going to look at it when you go home. Maybe not right away. Maybe next week. You put that away and you clean up your house. Oh yeah. One day you'll look. If you're interested in this conversation, you're interested in the information we put up here. You have my
I'm
flyer. You have
interested
the cards.
in, do you really believe?
I do, absolutely.
Or do you
100%.
want to
My dying words will
Or
be
is you-
the earth is flat. My dying words will be the earth is flat. Okay? His too. And every one of these people that have already dedicated their time and energy and have learned and gone through the process of understanding how your eyes work. It's not difficult stuff. It's not. Understand how the eyes work, how perspective works, how everything works. What we see, why we see what we see. Don't believe what you've been told. Keep it in your mind, put it aside, but keep it in your mind. Step into another area of factual science, understand what this claim is all about, and then sit back and make a decision for yourself.
Okay.
That's the point of this.
But
You will never know different unless people
if
like
the
me will
earth-
say something.
it's infinite large, and
Right.
it's round.
Well, if it's infinite large, what do you mean? Like as in a flat plane that keeps going? Or as in a...
It's a blunt sphere.
As in a sphere?
Infinite large.
Well, then they're lying, aren't they? Then they're lying, aren't they?
Why?
Well, they tell us it's 24,901
Okay.
miles in circumference.
Okay.
Okay? So either way, it's a lie.
Then it's like okay.
Now your brain is doing what we call mental gymnastics.
Yeah,
You're
but-
trying to make sense of it how some way or another without admitting that maybe they're lying.
But you
They're lying, buddy. You just gotta look at the facts that we are presenting and then put
the
two and
facts,
two together yourself.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, you're questioning the
wanted to-
facts. You're questioning if what
That's
we
is-
are
I'm now questioning
offering.
your facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if the Earth is infinite large, then we'll always see a flat horizon.
Yeah, but it's not infinite large. And if it is, that's a lie. We've been lied to. Either way, you've been lied to.
Yeah.
So, because what they tell us it is does not match observation, does not match measurement, not even close. If it was close, we wouldn't have an argument. We'd be all going, yeah, maybe, you know. But no, it's so ridiculously far out of line that
Yeah. Okay.
that's why that's why I can stand here for half an hour,
Yeah,
stand my
of
ground,
course,
make you feel uncomfortable, make you question everything.
I don't feel uncomfortable.
No, that's good. I'm glad.
In country. I like it.
It's good.
But,
I'm glad you're. Oh, I think we're planning on packing up here. Yeah. Well, listen. You have some information. My name is Rob. I have a YouTube channel too. My channel is called The Bloody Truth. Yeah, I do a lot of music videos. I take a lot of the stuff that these researchers are doing, and what NASA does. I put NASA to shame to music. I take popular music and I put it. So that's what I do. And if I come across a video from some of these other researchers that I find very informative, I'll put that on my channel as well. So a lot of stuff is my own. A lot of it is from other people that have done some really good work. But it's all a joke unless you look at it. It's all a joke to you unless you look.
No,
You have to look.
I did.
Keep what you know, or what you think you know, keep it there, put it aside.
It's not that it's a joke to me, but
You look generally concerned, actually.
Yeah?
You look concerned about the situation.
yeah, I'm a little bit concerned indeed. It's how do you say it? That you really
Intriguing.
do believe it, and
Yeah,
I'm so much doubting that it's.
I know.
Still-
I doubted it too. I doubted it to the point where I thought it was so funny. I'm going to prove this wrong so fast. And I tried to prove it wrong. The ball. I tried to disprove flat Earth. Can't be done. Can't be done. It can't be done. That's why organizations such as NASA or any other scientific organization in this world is going to make fun of us publicly rather than debate and go through a scientific process with us to show us how we're wrong. They won't because they can't, because if they do, guess what? It's exposed, the lie's open, the cat's out of the bag, and everybody goes crazy and distrusts their government, which they should anyways, because they're fucking lying to you anyways.
So, yeah, that's. Do I believe conspiracy theory or it's,
Yeah, there's a lot to consider with this. There's a lot to consider.
if you are really, if it's really to you, then it's.
Like I said, don't believe me. I don't know. I'm just some crazy guy you met on the street who took over a conversation with you that somebody else had already started.
So that
So it doesn't matter.
No problem.
And
but it would be nothing if there weren't crazy people.
yeah, well, you know what?
Craziest people
Well,
are
the
most
crazy people in
interest.
the crazy people in this world are the ones that are running this world. Okay, they're the crazy ones. They're lying to your kids. They lied to you. They lied to your parents. You know, they lied to all of us. So, and I know it because I can go out and prove it's a lie. Do I have all the facts, all the truth? No. It's too much. It takes time. You know, that's not. I'm never going to have it all. Not before I die. But I do know one truth: we're not on the spinning space ball. That's a fact. That's a fact. So, thank you for your time. Okay, we're packing up here and we're heading out. I got to follow these guys or I'll get lost. So, good luck. Good luck. Oh, that was a good one.